The Bloodstained games were a dark time in the history of Planarcadia. The damage caused by this event stripped the smiles from the faces of countless civilians, turning the entire concept of the Phantom Moon games into a disaster waiting to happen. Gone are the days where people look forward to the supplicants putting on shows, pulling out all the stops, and spreading elation with their enhanced abilities. All because one individual decided to cause havoc, revealing just how irresponsible it is to give a random person a mask that powerful, showing that the true damage done to the games wasn't done to Aha, Planarcadia, or even the supplicants. It was the irreparable damage done to the spectator, or as elation followers know them, the true winners of the Phantom Moon games. Because sure, showing off and dazzling the masses and gaining wish power is a pleasure for the supplicants, but it is the spectator that is truly allowed to partake in the show created from these competing supplicants. They are the prize and thereby the real winner. But what happened during the Bloodstained games of 15 years ago? And most importantly, who won? Well, I think I've got an idea for what kind of individual won the most twisted and infamous events in Planarcadia's history. Because this is the winner of the Bloodstained games revealed. But first, we've got a few announcements to get through, because as you may have heard, we held our own Phantom Moon games in the Nova Impact Discord, and a lucky individual became me for 3 days, along with claiming a special prize of forcing me to make a requested video. So look out for that. But that's not all, because I will be doing my first ever live stream next Tuesday just for Sparksy's release. I'm gonna be pulling Sparksy and doing viewer polls, so join the Discord and let me know if you want yours truly to bring home the Sparksicle. Link in description onto the video. Okay, so first things first, we gotta talk about what exactly happened during the Bloodstained games. Well, we know that Himeko participated as a supplicant and witnessed the tragic demise of her classmates at the hands of the Herald of Death, another supplicant that chose to generate wish power through fear. And to do this individual did the unthinkable of killing 22 students. And as if that wasn't enough, he left Graphia Academy to attack civilians, resulting in 146 civilians either being killed or injured, along with multiple other supplicants losing their lives in the battle. And on a side note, I am always curious of when Hoyo includes precise numbers, like 33,550,336 cycles being a perfect number. I always say Hoyo does not do these things for no reason. So, being the person that I am, I did some playing around with the numbers of this bloody event, and I found some things that I don't know what to do with. Let me explain. The date that the Herald of Death struck was July 22, 1984. 7/22/1984. And at first glance, you'll see, oh, well, 22 students killed, and yes, you are correct. But did you know that 1 + 9 + 8 + 4 is also 22? And if you flip these numbers upside down, the only legible numbers are 22 and 168, because the 9 flips and turns into a 6. Subtract 22 from 168 and you get 146, the number of civilian casualties. But just in case that doesn't send a shiver down your spine, I left out a number: 7. Well, it turns out that if you minus 7 from 22, you get 15, the exact number of years that have passed since this event took place. And now the Herald of Death is back. There is something going on here, and I can't say I know what it is yet, but all of this is on purpose, because anytime Hoyo throws numbers at us, they mean something, and everything is pointing at now, the very time we are in. The bloodstaining of the Phantom Moon games were a planned event. This is not just some sick idea a supplicant had on a whim. This was calculated and thoroughly planned out, and all of this is going according to plan. So even though this is a side note, I hope you understand just how unsettling this all is. Because other than wondering who the Herald of Death could possibly be, we are left with the million-dollar question: who won the Phantom Moon games? Or rather, was there a winner at all? Well, I've got an answer for this: a name. Oswaldo Schneider. And hear me out, I know, this is unlikely, but hear me out, I know this was presented as a rumor from the history fictionologists, but one, I don't think Hoyo would make this whole entire animation, translate it into English, and then just lie to us, because originally this was in Chinese, then days later released in English. And two, the Enigmata followers don't always just blatantly lie. As we've seen from Evernight and her Oblivion, not everything they say is as simple as being outright false, but not necessarily true either. What I mean to say is that there is some truth hidden in what they say. And for Oswaldo, it all comes down to timing. Hear me out. First off, the portrayal of this very much evil character is right on the money. He's enjoying his drink while watching a planet blow up. I would expect nothing less of this guy. But it is possible that he wasn't always the villain he is today. Because before joining the IPC, Oswaldo is stated to be a nameless. And though there are just bad people that are nameless, I mean heck, Void Archives was on there at some point. But anyway, it just so happens that the Express crash landed in Planarcadia and was there around 15 years ago, because Himeko was there. So any nameless aboard the Express was most likely in Planarcadia during the events of the Bloodstained games. And let's say Oswaldo was a nameless at this time. This would be his youth after all, and that would mean his chances as good as anyone else's at claiming a mask and becoming a supplicant. And before you say, oh, well, Oswaldo, in order to be the villain of Aventurine and Boot Hill stories, he has got to already be active in the IPC by now, and definitely old by now. Well, not necessarily. It's stated that Sigonia 4 was one of his first missions, and Aragon of Farshal doesn't need to be that long ago either. I mean, Boot Hill was already an adult when the IPC ship showed up, so Oswaldo's deeds could have been done a few years apart, and that would work chronologically and with Oswaldo's noted behavior. He's still a nameless at heart, he still loves to travel around the cosmos, but he's just very much evil. So Oswaldo doesn't need to be that old of a guy. Let's say he joined the IPC, ranked up 14 years ago, hit Sigonia 4 12 to 13 years ago, and Aragon of Farshal around 8 to 9 years ago. That would all work. A lot can happen in 15 years. I mean, heck, Himeko was a senior in high school 15 years ago. Now, I want to address an argument that I didn't know existed up until recently, because I made a short about this theory and I got a reply that stated that Oswaldo was over 3 Amber eras old and gave the order to recreate Planarcadia himself. Now, personally, I have never seen when this is said or where this is said, because what I've read about this guy is that he isn't old at all. In fact, he might be close in age to Himeko, because him winning the Bloodstained games in his youth is corroborated by the database saying that he is one of the youngest department heads at the IPC, and he would be promoted if he wasn't so inexperienced. So he isn't that old at all and hasn't been the IPC for all that long. He's just a very busy man. And as for him giving the order to reconstruct Planarcadia, Pearl and her ether editing knowledge is leading this operation, and it's not been said that anyone else has ever led it. Pearl is the only known CEO. So how can Oswaldo give an order to someone from the strategic investment department? He's from the marketing development department. He can't. That's not his jurisdiction. The Stonehearts are Diamond's subordinates. Diamond hates his guts already, so you honestly think that Oswaldo would be able to order around the people Diamond gave portions of his emanator powers to? I don't think so.
Perhaps this is why Diamond chose you.
Point is, according to the database, Oswaldo is not an old man and is very likely to be in Planarcadia 15 years ago before the start of his IPC career. So let's give him a year to rank up and lead an operation, which is 14 years from today, and Aventurine would be 14 years younger. And let's say that Aventurine is in his 20s now. At this point where Oswaldo is doing his thing, Aventurine looks to be around 10 years old. He's old enough to scam adults, so let's give him at least 10, making him 24-ish now. Where is the chronological error? Again, Sigonia 4 was one of Oswaldo's first ever missions. But now that that's all sorted out, let's get back on topic. Anyway, after the multiple supplicants died and the Graphi Academy incident, I can't see really anyone being in the right headspace to continue the games. And I know that some say that Himeko won, but just listening to her recall the story of her classmates,
a supplicant harboring immense malice stepped into Graphia Academy. He slaughtered 22 students who had stayed behind after school. Then went on to Dovebrook District, where 146 Innocent civilians were either killed or wounded.
I don't think that she was in the right headspace to perform entertaining miracles and getting wish power. Though I do think that her fixing the Express was one of her miracles of imagenesis during that time. I think Dolly ends up saying something about this. I'm gonna go try to find it. But do you know who would continue playing the games? Do you know what kind of indifferent sociopath it would take to take advantage of this situation? Oswaldo Schneider, the guy we know to be entirely unfazed by the mass loss of life. And yes, he is a sociopath. This guy is on record straight up changing his personality to suit those around him. This combined with his indifference to so many things, to my knowledge, there really isn't anything else he could be. But here's where it gets crazy, because I think him winning the games got him signed with the IPC, because it says that it was his personality that got him recruited. And he is again one of the younger department heads, meaning it did not take him long at all to rank up, and he started young. In fact, he would be even higher up if it wasn't for his inexperience and lack of available positions. So with his unhinged personality getting him scouted by the IPC and allowing him to be the only supplicant vying for the chance to become AHA at this point, what stands in his way? Nothing. All other supplicants are dead, in prison, or traumatized. Oswaldo wins. And though I have no clue what he could have wished for as AHA, a certain Imagine came to life after the last Phantasmoon games. The Mechatrons, a unique new kind of Imagine that was created by the IPC. So we don't know for sure, but all evidence points towards the worst. I think Oswaldo abandoned the Trailblaze and dedicated his time as AHA to the IPC, an act that would catapult him through the ranks and make him an undeniable asset to the IPC, then erased history of him ever winning at all, as many winners do, starting a new life and leaving a gap in the history of Planarcadia. But there will always be those who wish to connect the dots. And though this may just all be me entertaining a lie, this lie sure is entertaining. And as we've seen with Cypher, do not underestimate something you believe to be a lie, because before you know it, it may just become reality. That is the Elation way, because this is the winner of the Bloodstained Games revealed. I can't believe how well this all lines up. Down to Oswaldo being a younger department head 15 years ago was in his youth, all the way down to Sigonia 4 being one of his first projects. I don't know, guys, I don't know. I know I can't trust the Enigmata, but it sounds so good. And Oswaldo himself won't comment on it. He's hiding something. He could just say no and dispel all the rumors, but I think he won the Bloodstained Games and now runs a Bloodstained campaign on behalf of the IPC. Only time will tell, but you can't deny how well this all lines up. And if you want to talk to me about this in person, be there on Tuesday for the live stream. But what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace, y'all.